King Corn beats be killing shit.
We was powers on this earth once, and we was all about the mirth once. Idol worship, murder like the first of the month. Hit a nigga with the bit like he need a light. That's what you do when you on fourth, or else you got a punt. But we ain't needed when we cry for Egypt flesh, nah. So it's Egypt that we got, and we hella mad. These crackers soaring off our shoulders like some helipads. They see our sweat, but they don't feel us like we holograms. I'll be damned, another black man shot again.
Hey, shalom, family. Shalom, peace and blessings to everybody out there. Again, peace and blessings to everybody out there. Once again, shalom. All right. Appreciate everybody tapping in with me. All right. Tapping in with us today. All right. 1 second, family. But again, appreciate everybody tapping in with us this afternoon. Wherever you at, hey, shouts to my big bro, brother Ash out there. Hey, peace and blessings, and I'm gonna bring it out. It's gonna be a great lesson, some great commentary. So everybody tap in, make sure you like this, make sure you share, and make sure that you are subscribed. If you're not subscribed, all right? I'm gonna wait a few minutes, but not too long, because we're gonna get right to it. With all things being considered, I'm going to give everybody a few more minutes to tap in with us. All right. I'm going to play a little background music too while we wait for just a moment. But hey, how everybody doing out there though? All right. If you're doing good, drop a fire emoji in the chat for me, please. If you're doing good, drop a fire emoji in the chat for me, please. All right. All right. If you could. All right. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to get to it in a few minutes. We're going to take a look at this Godlogic video, give our commentary on it. So I'm going to go ahead and say fair use right now. Somebody tap fair use in the chat for me too. All right. And again, make sure y'all liking this. Make sure y'all sharing this. Get this out to your aunties, you know what I mean, to your uncles, to your mom, your pops, your kids, everybody, you know what I mean. Tap in. We got some good commentary on this live stream right here. All right. Oh, thank you, Sister Roxy, for typing that up in the chat. Fair use. All right. Because again, like I said, I'm going to give my thoughts and commentary on this content here in just a second, just a moment. I'm going to give about 60 more seconds for the rest of our family to go ahead and get tapped in with us. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get to it. All right. Like I said, hopefully everybody out there is doing pretty good, enjoying your day, having a good week, getting ready for the Shabbat, getting ready to come up. All praises to the Most High, right? And of course, man, thanking the Heavenly Father for, allowing us to see another day. You know what I mean? It's a little bit rainy here in Florida, but for the most part where I'm at, the weather's been fantastic. You know what I mean? I'm feeling in good spirits. My health is getting better. You know what I mean? So, hey, I'm doing pretty good. All right. All praises. Hey, that's right, sis. All right. Catching it right. Tap in from the beginning, man. Don't be a Johnny come lately, man. Catch it live, right? So that way you can ask the questions, right? If you got a question, you can tap in with me. All right. And as my big bro I said, man, we're going to bring it out. This is going to be a good one, man. You know what I mean? I'm trying to give everybody a little bit of time to go in and tap in. I know this YouTube algorithm been mad at me, you know what I mean? Because I ain't been, going live consistent enough, but we're going to work on getting that right. All right. We're going to work on learning to get better with the algorithm. I guess the algorithm said, be more consistent. But the Most High said, bring it out. Right. Channel through or echo through, you know what I mean, my brother Ash. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, man. We're gonna go ahead and get to it. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mute my music too. We're gonna go ahead and get to it, man. Again, if I haven't said, man, all praises to the Most High. You know what I mean? We cannot, give him enough of the praise. So all praise to the Most High Yah, to our power. You know what I mean? We're going to do what he commanded us to do, right? We're going to walk in the example of a hamashiach and keep his commandments. All right, family? Let me get this video queued up real quick. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get to it, man. Let's take a look at Godlogic, man. My bro, our brother, right? Love this brother too. You know what I mean? Love this brother, man. Love all our brothers, man. And I don't just say it to say it. I mean it. You know what I mean? I disagree with him on a spiritual and a scriptural level. Some might say you just use the word philosophical level. You know what I mean? We definitely have different philosophies. We definitely have different understanding when it comes down to it. But I would hope, I don't know him personally, you know what I mean, that he's doing this, you know what I mean, and it's from a sincere place, you know what I mean, that he's not doing it to be a troll, you know what I mean, or to be an agent of chaos. But I will say the way at times this brother operates, you know what I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. I don't know. So we're gonna just, do what we do. So we're gonna take it at freaking face value. All right. In 1 second, we're gonna go ahead and all right. So, all right. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Y'all ready? All right. Let's listen to our friend Godlogic. You know what I mean, and see if he's talking logical or if he's talking a bunch of nonsense. Let us proceed.
And it's cool. This is what Israelite panels. I hop on Muslim panels. I hop on Jehovah's Witness panels, and I cause each and every one of you cult groups to panel.
Hold on. Let's hear that again. One more time.
What I do is I hop on panels. And it's cool. I hop on Israelite panels. I hop on Muslim panels. I hop on Jehovah's Witness panels, and I cause each and every one of you cult groups to panic.
So y'all hear that? He says he causes each one of these cult groups to panic. So before we get into it, man, I got some information on the word cult, you know what I mean? I think that our brother Godlogic might consider, Now we understand that the context that he is using it in, but let's take a look, family, at a couple of things. All right, let me share my screen. All right. So this is Acts chapter 24. All right, let's go up to verse 5, right? Verse 4. It says, notwithstanding, this is Paul. I think he's about to go on. He's being brought in front of some governor, right? It says, notwithstanding that I be not further tedious unto thee, I pray thee that thou wouldest hear us of thy clemency in a few words. This is the people who bring them, they're talking to the governor. For we have found this man, talking about Paul, a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world. and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. Let's look at this verse in the alternate translation real quick. All right, family. Look at it in the NLT. Right? It says, we have found this man to be a troublemaker who was consistently stirring up riots among the Jews all over the world. He is a ringleader of a cult known as the Nazarenes. Hey, Godlogic, right? Since you're calling all these groups, you know, the Israelites, the Muslims, you know what I mean? To some, our Christians are a cult. I believe Christianity is a cult. You know what I mean? Right? That's why hamashiach says, you know, be careful how you judge, lest you be judged. Because the same things you say, that can be flipped right back around on you. Right? So you look at this, man. And I know you deal with Paul. I know you like you some Paul. Godlogic. All right? Right? Would you agree with this sentiment? All right? That they were calling Paul and his followers, you know what I mean, what he was doing, that he was the ringleader of a cult. That's why I said, man, again, hamashiach said, man, be careful how you judge, at least you be judged, you know? And then if you're going to do judgment, you got to do righteous judgment. What does righteous judgment require? It requires a level of balance, all right? A level of balance. Understand, family? Right, so now let's get back to it, all right? They bring up charges. I'm not going, for time's sake, family, hold on, let me bring my scroll back up. There we go, right? For lack of time's sake, so in the verses, these are going to be them, you know, bringing up the charges, talking mess about Paul and stuff like that. And Paul's going to speak here in verse 14. So let's hear what Paul has to say real quick on this matter. All right. Let's start at verse 13. It says, neither can they prove these things, wherefore they now accuse me. Again, this is Paul speaking. He says, but this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the God of my forefathers, believing all things which are written in the law and the prophets. I got logic, man. You believe all the things written in the law and the prophets, like Paul? Like Paul espoused here? I mean, I'm just asking, my bro. You know what I mean? Right? Let's look at this in an alternate translation. Oh, yeah, hey, this sister in the spirit, man. Shout out to her, man. And fair use again, man. Fair use, right? As our powerful sister put in here, right? Yes, he did. We're bringing it out right now, right? So again, like I said, let's look at this in an alternate translation, verse 14 of Acts chapter 24. All right. Let's read it in the NLT. It says, but I admit that I followed the way. And this is what a lot of first century Jews or Christians, right? Because the pure definition of the word Christian means to be a follower of Christ. And then they were first called Christians, the Israelites were, right? The followers of the way at Antioch, all right? Just to be clear, it says, but I admit that the way, that I follow the way, right? So following hamashiach, which they call a cult. Paul said he was in a cult. Do you agree with that, Mr. Godlogic? He says that I worship the God of our ancestors. Who is he referring to when he says the God of our ancestors? He's talking about the Jews. He's talking about Judea, right? And it says that I firmly believe the Jewish law. So he's implying that the ancestors followed the law, right? And that he followed the law. That what he's saying, right? That I firmly believe the Jewish law and everything written in the prophets. He said he followed the way of the ancestors. And he firmly believed the Jewish law, that the ancestors kept the Jewish law and everything written in the prophets. You call it a cult. Presently, Paul said he was part of that cult. Interesting. All right. So that's just, the first point that we're going to make as we, take a look at this interaction between our brother Godlogic and our brothers who are part of the Hebrew Israelite community. All right. So let's bring back up this Godlogic video. Let's continue.
It's God. It's God.
Yeah, I for sure believe that salvation is definitely not only for the Israelites. And so,
well, I would agree, Mr. Godlogic. Salvation is not only for the Israelites, but the Israelites, Israel, and the rest of the nations do not share the same type of salvation. FYI, because primarily, and this is just a quick, making a quick point on this topic, on that subject, so to speak. The rest of the nation do not need to be delivered out of the hands of their enemies, which was prophesied, right? Not only in the Torah and the Tanakh, but by hamashiach, Christ himself, right? Who says in Luke 21:24 that the Israelites, that they would fall by the edge of the sword and be led away captive into all nations, right? So that they would be in the hands of their enemies. So that signifies they need some type of deliverance, and that Jerusalem, Israel, will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. So this is currently the time of the Gentiles, right? They're not presently, most of these nations are not in need of salvation the same way the true Israelites are. So that is the difference. But do the other nations receive a form of salvation, safety? Yes, because when Israel is in power, right, and hamashiach, Christ, has put all of the crowns on his head, all of the weapons of war will be beaten in the plowshares, and there will be safety. No more wars will be fought, right? That is salvation. That is safety. All right. So that is what they get. All right. Really that simple, right? You don't have to try to make up anything and, make it more than it is. All right. But the other nations are not going to be joint heirs with Israel, though. That's for sure. All right. Let's continue.
I think that we can get into that real quick. I got a verse that I think is pretty clear. There's quite a few, but one verse that I think is pretty clear is in Isaiah 49. It talks about the salvation that God is going to bring. So if we can go to that real quick.
When you go to Isaiah, right, read verse 23 and explain that too.
Okay. All right. So Isaiah 49. I'll start at verse 5. And now the Lord says, he who formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Jacob back to him, and that Israel might be gathered to him. For I am honored in the eyes of Yahweh, and my God has become my strength. He says, it is too light a thing that you should be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob. Now, before I continue reading, who would you guys say are the tribes of Jacob?
The tribes of Jacob, that would be the Israelites, of course, and the preserved of Israel. That would.
I mean, who else all would be the tribes of Jacob? I mean, I think that's a silly question. I think that he's going to try to assert something different here, but you can see the tribes Israel referred to as Jacob repeatedly in the scriptures. All right, let's continue.
Be a specific portion of the Israelites, and then when it says the light to the Gentiles, is referring to the scattered Israelites, which, of course, some of them might.
Right. So, we have to be honest with the text. You know what I mean? We don't have to be, and I'm not trying to say these brothers are being dishonest. Maybe that's just their understanding of the text. You know what I mean? But, the text says what it says. Let's take a look at it real quick. It's Isaiah 49:6. We're going to pull it up. We're going to get back to Godlogic. But let's take a look at Isaiah 49:6 real quick. All right, let me share my screen. All right, so Isaiah 49. All right. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 49, verse 6. It says, and he said, it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant, right? To raise up the tribes of Jacob, right? To raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the preserved of Israel, right? So to raise up the tribes of Jacob, that's, referring to like Ezekiel 37, the valley of dry bones, right? All right. And to restore the preserved of Israel. And I will give thee to be a light to the Gentiles, all right? So the preserved of Israel are given to be a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth, right? Let's see something real quick, all right? All right, to be a light to the Goyim, to the nations, all right? To the heathen, to the nations, all right? To the Gentiles, to the people. But contextually, right, we see that, it says what it says. Yes, this is just talking about Israel being a light to the Gentiles. That's not talking about in current times. That's not what we're to do. You know what I mean? If we're letting our light shine, you know what I mean, and they see it, you know what I mean, and they want to cleave and they want to, keep the Most High law by all means, you know what I mean. We're not going to turn down anybody who wants to keep, the Most High Yah's laws, right? But right now, you know what I mean, it's for us to be fishers of men, in particularly our people. That's why Christ's message, you know what I mean, which is a message, ultimately to his people, to the elect, right? What did he tell his disciples? He said, go not into the way of the Gentiles, right? At that point, it's not for them to teach the Gentiles, but go to do what? To be a servant, right? Like we see here, right? Thou shouldest be it is a light thing that thou shouldest be my servant, right? A servant or a minister. A servant is a minister too, right? To raise up the tribes of Jacob. That's what Christ was saying, right? Go to the 12 tribes, right? Because it's time to restore the preserved of Israel, all right? Right? And then later, you know what I mean? The light is shining, and all these other nations, they get to see that light, and they get to come to it. All right. He says, but I will give thee for a light to the Gentile, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the ends of the earth. All right. Let's go back and let's continue. Let's get back to Godlogic. Let's continue. Let's see what else he has to say.
Be of the preserve of Israel as well. And of course, they would also be part of the 12 tribes of Jacob. Okay, so it seems like, because that'll be a little bit redundant. It says, because it makes distinctions here. The Bible,
it says, he says, let's rewind that. He says that would be redundant. I'm going to show him something. Let's listen to this again. Listen carefully, family.
Which, of course, some of them might be of the preserve of Israel as well. And of course, they would also be part of the 12 tribes of Jacob. Okay, so it seems like...
yes, exactly. The preserved of Israel, the elect, are part of the 12 tribes. They're the Israelites. I mean, it says what it says. Mr. Godlogic, that brother was right about it. All right. When you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. Right? That's balanced, by the way. Right? And the Most High says in Proverbs 11:1 that a false balance is an abomination to him, Mr. Godlogic. So remember that. All right? Don't try to be a contrarian just to be a contrarian, just because you have an insatiable need to be right. That's actually not a manly trait either there, sir. FYI.
Because that'll be a little bit redundant. It says, because it makes distinctions here.
The Bible is very redundant.
I disagree. It says to raise.
Did y'all hear that? This man said the Bible is not redundant. And the brother is right again. Godlogic, you putting your foot in your mouth. The Bible is very redundant. And redundancy is not a bad thing. It can be a bad thing, but it's not always a bad thing. All right? And the Most High repeats itself many a time. Hey, shalom, God. Shalom, brother Chris. Shout out, brother. All right? Peace and blessings to you, King. All right? Make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure that y'all sharing. Make sure that y'all subscribing. If I'm talking good, drop the fire emojis in the chat. Be interactive in our chat. Y'all want to see more of these videos, right? Y'all want to see more of this word, right? Help us out with the algorithm, right? Right? By make sure you commenting, right? You know, make sure you sharing, right? Make sure you dropping them hype points. If we got that function on here, all right? All that, all right? Make sure you definitely like it. If you're watching live and you haven't liked, what are you doing, family? All right, let's listen to my fault. Apologies. Let's listen to Godlogic one more time and these brothers, because we're going to talk about this little exchange right here. All right, it's important, right?
Which, of course, some of them might be of the preserve of Israel as well, and of course, they would also be part of the 12 tribes of Jacob.
Okay, so it seems like. Because that'll be a little bit redundant. It says, because it makes distinctions here.
The Bible is very redundant.
I disagree. It says to raise.
Well, then then Godlogic, the brother is right, and I would tend to agree that it doesn't seem like you read the Bible. The Bible is very much redundant from the beginning to the end, right? You see, the thing does not change, all right? Yes, in the Torah, in the Tanakh, you see extensive world building, and then you look at what some call the New Testament, so to speak, and it's more, like one shots, like isolated stories. All right, but within those stories, you see a bunch of redundancy, all right, a bunch of repetition. All right,
the tribes of Jacob. The tribes would be the 12 tribes of Israel. Is that correct?
The tribes of Jacob, yeah.
Okay, so the 12 tribes are covered.
Yeah. So he's about to get on them about redundancy. Let's take a look, right? So first, let's see if the Bible. He says that the Bible. He would disagree that the Bible is redundant, right? Let's see. Let me share my screen, right? What y'all think, family? Y'all think the Bible is redundant? I think the Most High repeats itself very much, and he does it for a specific reason, right? Because this is a hard-headed and a stiff-necked people, man. Just like you repeat yourself to your kids, a good father, a good mother, you know what I mean? But the Most High Yah being our father, Abba, a good father, he repeats himself, right? He wants to make sure you get this message, all right? Which we still didn't get, you know what I mean? Let's see. All right. So, all I did was type in, as y'all see right here, keep the commandments, right? Let's see if it's redundant in the Bible, right? Since we're talking about redundancy, you're talking about redundancy, you would disagree that there's redundancy. Mr. Godlogic, you being disagreeable just to be disagreeable. Right? You could admit that there's redundancy in the Bible. There's nothing wrong with that, but I guess it just hurt your little heart to disagree with agree with the Hebrew Israelites. So let's see about redundancy, right? Real quick. All right. I put in keep the commandments, right? Right? Keep the commandments occurs 201 times in the Bible. Look at that. in 44 verses in the King James, including 10 exact phrases. Redundant? It'll be redundant in the same verse at times, right? Here we go. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, the commandments. Neither shall you diminish from it, that you may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you. The commandments which he commanded you. Is that redundant? You shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimony and his statutes, which he commanded. All right. Thus said, these are like chapters away in the same book, right? Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them. That's how these verses are redundant. They're exactly the same, Mr. Godlogic, right? We haven't even left Deuteronomy yet. Therefore, thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God to walk in his ways and fear him. Next one, 10 and 13, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes which I command thee this day. It's the exact same verse. All right? Depart not from them, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my God. Right? Look here. This is in Matthew. And he said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, what? Keep the commandments. That's what Christ told the young rich ruler, huh? Wait a minute. Here in Revelations, this is 12 and 17, and the dragon was wroth at the woman and went to make war with the remnant of the seed, right? Who does this woman represent here in Revelations? This represents Israel, right? To make war with the seed, the Israelites, the remnant of the seed, are the preserved of Israel. Hello. Which keep the commandments of God. How about that? Isn't that redundant, Mr. Godlogic? And have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Here we go. One more time. Here is the patience of the saints. Are you a saint, Mr. Logic? Don't seem like you just want to be a sower of discord and an agent of discord. And I mean that, well, I can't mean that with all respect, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful, my brother. Real talk. All right. Here's the patience of the saints. All right. Here are they that keep the commandments. The saints keep the commandments of God. Redundantly, because God kept telling them multiple times to keep the commandments and the faith of a hamashiach. Just like James said, right? Faith, right? The faith of a hamashiach, and then the works, the keeping the commandments, right? That's a work. You got to do something, right? You got to actively put your fringes on, right? Like Christ did, like a hamashiach did, all right? All right. Let's see. So, one more example, right, of redundancy, real quick. My people, Israel. Who's God's people? Israel. Let's see, right? Occurs this morning, keep the commandments, man. You know who God's people is, man. Right? It is Israel. FYI. Right? 312 times in 80 verses in the King James, including 31 exact times there. Redundantly. This is 1 Samuel 9:16. Tomorrow, this time, I will send a man out of the land of Benjamin, and I shall anoint him to be captain over my people, Israel. All right? And look at here, my people, this is in the same verse, redundant. Sir, you know who the people is, my people, Israel. Why does he have to say again, my people? Because that's how the Most High operates. Obviously, you don't read the Bible enough, Godlogic. Maybe you sit around, you should be reading, and trying to hear the words of these prophecies, because that's what hamashiach said. Blessed is he that readeth in Revelation chapter 1, verse 2, I believe. All right, blessed is he that readeth. Right, here's the words of this prophecy. Maybe you should spend more time doing that than trying to run down so-called cults. when you may be what some call a cult. All right. Again, my people Israel, my people Israel. Look at here, for lack of time, I'm not going to read all of these verses, but look, my people Israel, multiple times in the same verse, my people Israel, just redundant with it, my people Israel, right? Multiple times in the same book, my people Israel, in the same verse, my people, right? Look at here, Matthew, right? And thou Bethlehem, where hamashiach, Christ was born, in the land of Judea, right? Art the least among the princes of Judah. For out of thee shall come a governor that shall what? Rule my people Israel. Talking about Christ. He was sent to the whole world? No, he was sent to rule his people Israel. All right? Let's get back to it, right? I think I've proved that point. I was going to look at the definition of redundancy and show how it can be a good thing or a bad thing, just depending on how it's used. But y'all get the point. He was talking about the scriptures. In the scriptures, we see that repeating yourself, or AKA redundancy, is not a bad thing, and that it does happen a lot, unlike our brother Godlogic asserted. All right? So our brother was definitely wrong about that. Let's get back. Excuse me, family. Let's get back to it again. Make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing. Make sure that y'all subscribe too. All right, family. Make sure y'all doing all of the free stuff, all of the necessary free stuff, family. All right. And like I said, man, if I'm talking good, man, drop them fire emojis in the chat. Shout to the sister's comment. She says, I feel that, because, that's what she meant, and she clarified that too, right? Brother knows a lot of time that he's being dishonest and disingenuous, but he doesn't care. Possibly. I don't want to put that on the brother because I don't know him personally to say that, you know what I mean? But, we're not even 3 minutes in, and he's been dishonest. I can't say disingenuous. Well, maybe, because I think he reads the Bible a lot, you know what I mean? I do, right? But in the fact that he would say, just try to be a contrarian for no reason instead of just being honest about it, to say that there's no redundancy, you know what I mean? In the Bible is a blatant lie. And I don't know if he knows that, in alternate translations, when you look at the word heresy, the sentiment of Paul in Acts chapter 24, that he was saying that, the way he worshiped the ancestors, some might call it a cult. So it depends on your point of view, right? So I can't say disingenuous, but dishonest, possibly, and possibly disingenuous, right? Let's continue though.
And he says, and to bring back the preserved of Israel. Who are the preserved of Israel that he needs to bring back?
Again, being redundant, they're still part of the 12 tribes of Jacob.
No worries, but who are the ones who need to be brought back?
Preserved means the remnant. The remnant, brother.
Right. So who are the remnant?
That's the remnant that he's talking about.
Okay.
The remnant is the very elect of the Israelites. Out of all 12 tribes, there's going to be 1/3 as a remnant, as it says in Zechariah.
Yeah, but where are they?
What I would say, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't put a number on that, because in specific scriptures, it does say the remnant would be, I think it said 5,000.
Well, I think, Godlogic. Now, I'm going to use the sister's word. Maybe she's right. You've been a little disingenuous here, man, for a brother who knows the scriptures. I don't know. You obviously are doing this line of questioning for a reason. But, brother, where are they? Christ prophesied what was going to happen to the Israelites. And I stated this early, right? For time's sake, I'm not going to bring it up, man. But Luke 21 and 24, he said that the Israelites they would be scattered. You know what I mean? And that's the sentiment. That's why he told them in what's called the Great Commission in Matthew 28, the go into all nations, teaching all nations, right? Baptize in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's why he sent them there, because Israel would be scattered into all of these nations in their upcoming future, right? And then we see that laid out in 70 AD, and then finalized later in the early 2nd century. That's like around 130 something AD, right? The Bavarian revolts, right? When the rest of Israel was finally kicked out of the land. All right, so I don't know, Godlogic. To me, it just seems like you're being just a little bit disingenuous in this area right here. All right, let's continue, though, family.
Or something like that had not bowed to Baal.
I'm sorry, brother. That's priests in the last days or prophets in the last day. He has 7,000 that won't bow to the knee of Baal, bow their knees to Baal. But the remnant, so there's every three.
Yeah, so in every captivity, he had to preserve that didn't serve the other gods.
Right.
Brother, right. In every captivity, he kept a remnant or preserved who would not, break the first commandment and have another God before the Most High. That is the first commandment. All right, not going to worship any other God. Not going to bow their knee to some idol. All right. Just like in this time, there's a preserve, there's a remnant. You know what I mean? Lord willing, you know what I mean? We want to be a part of it, continue to be a part of it. We want to endure it to the end. We don't want to commit adultery. We want to serve our God in spirit and in truth, right? The sentiment that hamashiach talked about when he was talking to that woman at the well. You know what I mean? I believe to the Sumerian sister, right? When he told her that there's going to come a time when you won't be able to worship in this mountain, you know what I mean, or in Jerusalem. Why? Because Jerusalem is going to be trodden down to the Gentiles. You know what I mean? Ain't going to really be no Israelites there worshiping. But the true worshipers who are scattered are still going to worship the Most High in spirit and in truth. What is truth? Thy word is truth. Meaning they're going to keep his commandments, right? And then they're going to do it with all of their heart and their minds, right? So that the Most High would turn their captivity. You see that in Deuteronomy, all right? Mr. Godlogic and family, most importantly, all right?
Okay, so the preserved of Israel are the remnant, correct? That he needs to bring back.
Yes.
Would you say that these remnant are scattered?
Yes, 4 corners of the earth.
Gotcha.
I don't know in this particular context here if they are the ones that are scattered.
Well, it says they need to be brought back.
Say that again?
It says they need to be brought back.
The context is implying that they are scattered in Isaiah 49, Isaiah chapter 49. Right.
Where are they being brought back to?
They would be brought back to the land at some point, right?
Right, so they're scattered.
They have to be brought back to the knowledge of God and who we are.
Well, you would say it's in twofold, because first, as we see, you have to come back to the Most High God, to the knowledge of him and keeping his commandments, and then he'll turn the captivity and bring you back from the lands wherein he scattered you. That's what it says. All right. Let's look at that real quick. All right. Stop sharing. Pull up my Bible app. Let's get this real quick. I think it's Rodney chapter 2, if I'm not mistaken. Slovakia family, Deuteronomy 30. Slovakia, here we go. This is what I wanted, right? So let's look at this real quick. It says, and it shall come to pass that when all these things are come upon thee, the blessings and the curses, which I said before thee this day, that I shall call to mind among all nations, which will be which would imply that they're not in their land, but they've been scattered, right? Whether the Lord thy God has driven thee, so they're not in their land. Right? Again, hamashiach prophesied this. It shall return unto thy God, and thou shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, which is to keep his commandments. Thou and thy children with all thy heart, thy mind, and thy soul. So they have to keep their commandments. That's first, right? That's what they have to do first. That's what the brother on that panel was saying, right? That first, you know what I mean? That they have to keep the commandments, right? They have to come back before they can come back to the land. They have to come back to the Most High God and obey His voice, right? See that? And obey His voice, all right? And He says that then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity. After what? After they come back to Him, right? Return back to Him, obey His voice and keep His commandments. Then He will turn His captivity and have compassion on thee, and will return and gather thee from all of the nations. Exactly what brother was saying. Whether the Lord thy God has scattered thee. So I don't see what the big deal about that was. You know what I mean? But let's get back to it. All right. Let's see what comes of that here. All right. Maybe Godlogic just being a contrarian just to be a contrarian.
But also the 12 tribes of Jacob are scattered as well, right?
Yes,
sure. Not all of them though, because you have some that were still in the land, right? But
that was up until 70 AD. Right?
All right. So in 70 AD, you're saying that every Israelite was scattered from Israel, from Jerusalem?
Well, not every single one. Like there might have been a couple, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a couple dozen that might have survived and, you know, slipped through the cracks, but the majority were all out of there. They were out of Jerusalem. They were either taken in captivity or migrated out of there.
Yeah. So
hey, come on, man. Shout to our brother, man. Shout to the brother, man. Shalom family been working all day in this heat, man. Hey, man. That's how it is, man. When you know our people are still in the hands of our enemies, still in captivity. You know what I mean? But it's also the curse. You know what I mean? On our people, man. You know what I mean? But for all mankind, so to speak. You know what I mean? You know, man, got to worry about the sweat of his brow. You know, is what it is. All right. Well, all praises to the Most High. He gave you the strength to make it through this day. You know what I mean? And you here now chopping it up with us. All praises.
Brother,
so it says
don't
that
get caught up in the invasion of the Roman invading Israel. We were scattered all the way since going back into Assyrian captivity, the Babylonian captivities, the Greek captivities. We've been constantly being scattered since the world was created. So it's not just Rome chasing us out of Jerusalem that caused the diaspora.
Right. So what we have here is we have the 12 tribes of Jacob. We have the remnant of Israel.
What happened here?
Right.
Now
And
so
this means, so guys, so the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel, that's all of Israel that's accounted for, right? The scattered, the non-scattered, the ones that's all about. This is an entire Israel is accounted for in that passage, right?
Yes, God, I don't want you to be offended when I ask you this, but when you see a colon, when you read in English and you see a colon, what does a colon mean? Everything after the colon means what?
It's another thought that's about to be added.
No, everything after the colon describes what was written before the colon. Look that up.
It's another.
Uh-oh, Godlogic. This just happened. Right? I mean, I already got you a couple of times here, buddy, for real. You know, just being a contrarian for no reason, you know what I mean? And saying stuff that's blatantly untrue. You know what I mean? And oh man, right? Brother got you right here. You know what I mean? You put your foot in your mouth. Let's rewind that. Listen carefully, family.
Jerusalem that caused the diaspora.
Right. So what we have here is we have the 12 tribes of Jacob. We have the remnant of Israel.
What happened here?
Right.
Now
And so this means, so guys, so the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel. That's all of Israel that's accounted for, right? The scattered, the non-scattered, the ones that's all about. This is an entire Israel is accounted for in that passage, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that's really fascinating with these Christians is the stand that they have for the people of God. They claim to love hamashiach, the Most High Yah, or Yahweh, as you would say, Godlogic, and you claim to love hamashiach, who you call Jesus Christ, right? But you have such disdain for his people. As we saw, he said, my people is mentioned over 300 times in the Bible. My people, Israel, at that. Right? Redundantly, as you said, the Bible is not. And you seem to have such a disdain, like, for the people of God. Well, all of Israel is covered right there, right? So all of them people right there, don't worry about the people of God no more. Let's get to the Gentiles. That's what I care about. All these people, all the Christians want to do is replace Israel. But that's not going to happen. Even Paul says it, you know what I mean, right? Has God done away with his people? No, God forbid, right?
God, I don't want you to be offended when I ask you this, but when you see a colon, when you read in English and you see a colon, what does a colon mean? Everything after the colon means what?
It's another thought that's about to be added.
This man said everything after a colon means another thought is about to be added. Bro, I'm not the smartest guy. I failed English my junior year in high school, right? But I ended up passing it my senior year and passing senior English in my senior year to graduate on time, FYI, right? Now, I ain't the best reader. I ain't the best writer. You know what I mean, right? I'm not claiming to be the smartest, the most knowledgeable, my brother. All right, I'm not claiming to be any of that. You know what I mean? But what I do know is that a colon usually does not mean that a new thought is coming. It usually pertains to what was before the colon. For example, like if you say, I'm going to the grocery store and I have a grocery list, my grocery list consists of these items, colon, then the items, eggs, milk, cheese, bread, lamb, you know what I mean? For you, probably things that are unlawful, right? Like shrimp and pork. Oh, I can eat it. Because Paul said, right? Huh? So that's usually how it works. Again, right? I gotta hear this one more time because, like, family, I couldn't believe he said it. I mean, this happened. You know what I mean? That's why you getting cooked for this too. Not just me cooking you, you know what I mean? But I'm a fry you up some, bro. This is insane and ridiculous. I gotta hear that one more time. I almost couldn't believe he said it when I heard it.
And the preserved of Israel. That's all of Israel that's accounted for, right? The scattered, the non-scattered, the ones that's all about. This is an entire Israel is accounted for in that passage, right?
Yes, God, I don't want you to be offended when I ask you this, but when you see a colon, when you read in English and you see a colon, what does a colon mean? Everything after the colon means what?
It's another thought that's about to be added.
No, everything after the colon describes what was written before the colon. Look that up.
It's another thought that's about to be added to what's being said.
And he did the redundant thing. You don't need to use redundancy. You doubled down, said the same thing, sounding redundantly stupid. Oh man, let me share this, man. Let's look it up. Let's see, right? Not our brother's words, right? Trying to correct our other brother, Godlogic. You know what I mean? He probably would say we not his brother. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. You know what I mean? Because he would say he a follower of Christ, though. You don't got the love that Christ had, man. All right? A lot of you Christians don't, man. It's all lip service with y'all. For real, man. All right? not the true. I don't want to be the true followers, man, and the true worshipers. All right, but let's see what a colon is, right? Let me share my screen. All right. Shit, I couldn't believe this happened, man. I think a middle school kid knows this. No offense, my brother. For real. I mean, if you're ignorant and you don't know, then we're going to be here to teach you. All right? We're going to be here to teach you. Lord willing, this is clear right here. I'm going to let that sit there right there for a second just before I read it, so you can read it for yourself if you're watching, Mr. Godlogic. All right? And you put yourself on your channel, all proud. Right, because you tear down all of the cults. That's why. You know what I mean? And you were like, you wanted to roast the cult. That's what he said. That's what he said at the beginning of the video. Yeah, that's what he do. He take down the cults, right? So let me make this a little bit bigger too, for a matter of fact, right? Let me see. Let's make that a little bit bigger. That's a little bit big. Let me make it a little bit more bigger. All right. That's very good there. What does that say? It says, in English, a colon acts as a gateway or a pointer. So a gateway or a pointer, right? A gateway to the thought, right? Or pointing at the thought or what's to follow, it seems like, right? Its primary function is to signal that what follows is directly related to the clause before. Damn. Such as an explanation, elaboration, like I said, a list, right? The example I gave, or quotation. It wasn't a quotation, it was an explanation or an elaboration. In that verse, that you would be a light, my salvation to all of the ends of the earth, right? That is an elaboration on the clause before, right? First, sent to raise up the tabernacle of David, as we see in Amos, we see echoed again in Acts by James, right? And then there will be a light, to show his salvation, right? The salvation that the Israelites got, how Christ has put all of these crowns on his head to the other nations. Very simple. But you was dead wrong, man, and you thought you was right. Let me show for anybody who and see, that's the problem, man. Kind of having a narcissistic personality, you know what I mean? The unbridled need to be right, you know what I mean? To want to show that you're smarter than everybody else. One more time. Let's watch you double down. I'm going to watch you double down for the audience and be redundant. I ain't even going to say that. I'm just about to let it play right now, family.
In captivities, the Greek captivities, we've been constantly being scattered since the world was created. Mm-hmm. So it's not just Rome chasing us out of Jerusalem that caused the diaspora.
Right. So what we have here is we have the 12 tribes of Jacob. We have the remnant of Israel.
What happened here?
Right.
Now
And so this means, guys, the tribes of Jacob and the preserved of Israel, that's all of Israel that's accounted for, right? The scattered, the non-scattered, the ones that's all about. This is an entire Israel is accounted for in that passage, right?
Yes, God, I don't want you to be offended when I ask you this, but when you see a colon, when you read in English and you see a colon, what does a colon mean? Everything after the colon means what?
It's another thought that's about to be added.
No, everything after the colon describes what was written before the colon. Look that up.
It's another thought that's about to be added to what's being said.
You're making grammatical errors, brother. That's all I'm telling you.
Okay, I disagree.
What is he?
Well, you would be wrong, Mr. Godlogic. You disagree, and you were blatantly wrong. And instead of actually taking the time right there, you know what I mean? You could have looked it up right there and took a quick Google search. You would have found out that you was wrong. But I know what it is. You can't admit, you know what I mean, because you got way too much pride, sir, and the insatiable urge to be right. You know what I mean? You couldn't even admit when a brother is right about something. I'll give you credit when you're right. You know what I mean? And I don't know this brother who you were talking with, but I'm going to say I believe that he would give you credit when you're right about things. You're not wrong about everything, Godlogic.
Speaking to before the colon. That's a basic law in English.
Yeah, before,
you can't go around that.
Yeah,
that's
before the colon, the subject is the person, the servant that's going to be raising up the tribes of Jacob and bringing back the preserved of Israel. So after the colon, he then continues to address him and says, I will make you as a light to the nations. Okay, so.
Which is true. Israel is going to be a light to the nations. That is true. But you were still wrong. You was still wrong, and you won't admit it.
So who would the Gentiles be?
Right here.
If before the colon is Israel, who would the Gentiles be after the colon?
Well, that's the point. So if you have,
it's still
if you have,
can
I respond to you? Because you asked me a question and you're not letting me actually answer you.
Okay. I want you to teach correctly. That's all.
That's fine. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But like, you got to at least let me. You have to at least allow me to engage with you, brother. Brother, you have to allow me to engage with you.
Your agenda.
For you to cut me off is showing that either you're afraid of what I have to say or something's going on.
Well, I agree with the brother that you do the things to fit your agenda. However, I agree with you, Godlogic, that the brother should allow you to speak so that y'all can have the conversation and converse back and forth in a pleasant way, right?
I don't know what it is, but you have to allow me to
just let him finish. Yeah, let him finish his answer.
He's making a grammatical error. Go ahead, brother.
You can say that all you want without any proof. That's fine. So
wow, look at him for the third time, tripling down redundantly yet again, because he says the Bible's not, there's no redundancy in the Bible, saying that that's not what a colon is for when it absolutely is. I mean, this is bad, brother. See, and this is what happens when you think that you're the smartest man in the room. You're unwilling to give others credit, man. Pride, right? What is it saying? What is King Solomon saying in Proverbs? That what? Pride cometh before the fall. Pride cometh before the fall, Godlogic, and you was dead wrong, man. Right? And are you smarter than a fifth grader? Apparently not. All right? Hey, again, family, man, hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe. This has been a good lesson. Lord willing, man, it's been edifying for y'all. I'm not going to actually hold y'all too much longer, maybe about another 5 to 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Because this is we've gotten to the point of this lesson. You know what I mean? This is what happened. All right. Godlogic, he tried to invade the Israelite panel, and this happened. He's made to look foolish. Now he's being clowned on these social media streets. And I hear that people want to know, is he smarter than a fifth grader? Obviously not. Maybe he failed fifth grade English. All right. But again, family, make sure y'all hitting the like button, that y'all share and y'all subscribing. All right. I'm going to let this play a little bit more, see if Godlogic says anything else in the next couple of minutes that we'll get into that we find interesting. All right. If you got any questions while we're playing this, hey, drop them in the chat too. All right. Any questions right now, drop them in the chat. But let's see, a little bit more.
We all agree.
Everybody go
that
Google
to raise
the
up
and what comes before
hey, host,
and after.
What's up with this brother, man? What's up with this brother? See,
I'm not a fan of yours. That's what you're looking for, fans. I'm not.
Hold on. Let's just try to not speak over each other.
This is crazy.
Nah. We ain't talking about fans. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna try to just do everything in decency and in order. We're not gonna try to overtalk each other.
Well, I'm not a fan of this brother, the way he operates, because like he said, he basically acknowledged that he comes into these panels as, and he calls these people cults, right? To basically create chaos and to sow discord. That's ultimately his goal, right? We can see that from your interactions on the internet. All right? It is what it is, man. I mean, that's what you do. You know what I mean? But, and not even 10 minutes, right? In the first really 5 minutes, you were wrong blatantly wrong at least 3 times, right? Or blatantly wrong at least twice, and probably didn't understand or really truly think about what you were saying when you called all these people cults. Because again, that's why you shouldn't judge. At least you be judged, because some people will say that the philosophy or the belief system you're in, aka Christianity, is a cult. All right. And then you talk about redundancy, that the Bible has no redundancy. You were wrong about that. Very wrong about that. And I showed that, right, through the Spirit. And then also, you were wrong just to be wrong. Obviously, you must have a problem understanding certain grammatical points. When talking about the colon, which is the main point, which you're getting roasted now all over these YouTube social media streets for. So you're going to have to tighten up there, Godlogic, all right? And the main thing that you probably should do is look at Proverbs 11:1, right? Focus more on being in balance, all right? And then also look at the pride, you know what I mean, right? Look at the pride of life that you need to drop, you know what I mean? And also understand what King Solomon said, that pride cometh before the fall, so you should work on that, all right? Again, this is out of love, my brother, genuinely, all right? And I'm sure, you can make your videos and say things that I could work on, and that's fine, you know what I mean? Lord willing is accurate, invalid criticism, and that you do it in a constructive manner. That's what we're trying to, that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to be fair too, all right?
So he had a thought, and his okay. Let me try to say what you.
Salaki, Dakota, he's still on Isaiah 49, right?
Yeah, we're on Isaiah 49. So now, when you're saying that Jacob, right, the 12 tribes of Jacob,
brother, I was cut off from what I was saying. That's what I'm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm saying I was cut. I was making my point, and the brother just kept cutting me off, and I haven't been able to make my point yet.
No, it's funny. What's fascinating here, I'm just going to say this, is that, brother, you shouldn't do something to somebody just because they did the same thing to you. You shouldn't do evil for evil. That's what the scriptures say, right? So, yes, he did cut you off, and then immediately you reward evil for evil right here by cutting him off. And we have to be better than this. You know what I mean? Like Christians and Israelites and Muslims and, those who believe in the Buddha, Confucianism, Buddhism, whatever, we should be able to, come together and dialogue, you know what I mean? But when we're going to operate the way you're operating with these brothers on this panel, with the attitude that you come in, it's not an attitude to come to any type of consensus. You know what I mean? And, maybe find places where y'all can agree, It's about arguing back and forth. And most of the time, it ain't go for both sides, wanting to be right. You know what I mean? What it ends up is a circling firing squad where we're all just shooting at each other and we all taking shots. And you know what? Ain't nobody learning nothing. Nobody getting edified. It's the same thing that was actually going on within my community, our community, the Israelite community. Right? It has turned into a circling fire squad where everybody firing on each other, and then the little ones don't get any edification. Right? And the Most High is solely unpleased with that. And that's why he judged this community so harshly the way he has. All right, and FYI, he's going to continue to until we get it together. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within us. It's on us to fix the problems that we have. All right, and how do we fix them? By keeping our Heavenly Father's law, statutes, and commandment. Right, looking to Him, looking to the law, which is the light illuminates our path. Right, and we're not to give this honor given to us to a nation, right, to another. All right, but we should walk in the light thereof so that we may be illuminated. You can find that passage in the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1 through 6, I believe. All right, and Baruch being the apprentice and scribe of the prophet Jeremiah, FYI.
All right. All right. So just before you make your point, right? I just want to make sure that I'm clear on what you're trying to say. When it says the 12 tribes of Jacob, you're saying that and the preserved of Israel, that encompasses all of the Israelites, including the ones that are all scattered. And on the next thought, that it's not going to be including any Israelites.
Well, that's what I'm just asking right now. So
So if you're just asking,
Well, see, you're being disingenuous right here, and I'm agreeing with the sister because you're asking that question, but that's actually what you're trying to. That's what you're asserting. Now, I would agree that your assertion is right. That it is talking about the goyim. It's talking about the Gentiles. All right. But that still doesn't take away from the fact on what you were wrong about, things that you were dishonest about. You know what I mean? Maybe it was out of ignorance. You know what I mean? Who knows, right? But I see the sister's point. You know, a lot of times you come off as dishonest and disingenuous. And if you're truly trying to be a messenger for the Most High Yahweh, as you call him, then you're going to need to work on that, brother, to be a fair arbiter. You know what I mean? Don't be a contrarian just to be a contrarian. When somebody is right, they're right, and when they're wrong, they're wrong. All right? With that being said, I've had enough of Godlogic this afternoon, family, so I'm going to close this out. I'm going to give about a minute or two, to the chat for any questions, comments, or concerns. Lord willing, this has been edifying for the family today. Lord willing, we learned something today. And Lord willing, for those of you who may not be watching live, maybe watching this on replay, Lord willing, you got something out of it too. You know what I mean? And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, drop those in our comment section. I'll definitely take a look at them. We'll take a look at them and try to get back to you with an answer if it be the Lord's will. All right. I've definitely enjoyed this time with you as always, family. You know what I mean? I know that the brother Ash on his channel, he'll be coming through with a live stream for you this weekend. And make sure also, man, we have Bible study, man, on this channel right here. And you can catch it on Ash's channel every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And that will be 11 a.m. for those on the West Coast. All right. So, tap in with us. All right. For Bible study, we're reading in the book of Judges right now. So powerful stuff. All right. And it's all powerful, right? The words of the Most High. You know what I mean? They are spirit, they are life. You know what I mean? Right. And then what we need, to get ourselves in a better situation. You know what I mean? So that we can be a light to the Gentiles, so that we can show the Most High salvation to the rest of these nations. You know what I mean? Right. As they see it in us. All right. So I'm giving about 2 minutes, just about. We're gonna get ready to close this lesson right here out. All right. But again, peace and blessings to everybody that came through. Appreciate everybody who tapped in live. Again, on your way out, make sure that you're hitting the like button. Like I said, I ain't asking you to, to donate, you know what I mean? But if it's on your heart, go ahead, you know what I mean? Let me, right, and if you're interested in, doing the work with us, the ministry, let me bring this up if I can find it, our email. Salakia, bear with me a second. They've redone this. So where is it at? I can't find it. Oh, here we go. This is what I'm looking for, right? So, hey, right, you're interested in tapping in with us, firegodclassroom@gmail.com. Tap in with us, you know what I mean, brothers and sisters. We're all family, you know what I mean? We're looking to build our family and connect with more of our family members, that's for sure. All right. And then, if it's on your heart to donate, you know what I mean, to us, it definitely helps the ministry, helps us continue to do the work, man, and push the word of the Most High, you know what I mean? So that we can teach this word, be true ministers, true servants, right? To teach the true worshipers, right? Who want to truly worship the Most High, Yah in spirit and in truth. All right. So everybody sees the Cash Apps, Fire of God, Fire of God Camp 12. All right. So tap in with us, family. All right. With that, I got nothing else to add. I don't see any questions in the chat. Hey, shout out to the brother Taz who was live with me last week. Y'all definitely be seeing more of him tapped in with us. You know what I mean? Hey, and look, family, like any as I said in the comments, you know what I mean? Anything that y'all want to bring to our attention, topics that you would like me, the brother Ash, our extended FOG family to touch on, drop a comment and we'll look into it. Like I said, that's why I dropped the email. If you want to do it again in a way that's more private, then you can hit the email right here. All right. Hey, with that being said, hey, I'm not gonna hold y'all any longer. Appreciate again everybody coming through. Make sure you hit that like button, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna give all praise to our Heavenly Father, the Most High, Yah, our power. You know what I mean? Without Him, we would be nothing, right? And we would be able to do nothing, right? So again, all of the glory and honor goes to Him. Peace and blessings, family. And shalom.
Another lacking, all black, don't draw attention, cause it's just not enough room in this small city. Cleaning crew is out to get you, can you dodge 50? 50-50 odds, hear the applause in the black, ripping through the avenues in the parks full of guys chilling at the park, cause mama boyfriend Ron tripping, ripping through their hearts with what he doing after dark, and mama working late and she don't know cause they don't have the heart. It's safe to say in them shoes, they dark in them. Swim the shore before the whales and the sharks get them. So many bodies in the waters, you ain't gotta swim them. You on the shoulders of the fallen, trying to outlive them.